want to get a new job, but boss owns all my possessions and is going to take everything away if I leave. I don't think this is right, but don't know who to call. Why would your boss be able to take away all of your possessions just because you quit? I don't like the sound of that at all. This is kind of a long story, but I am 19 and want to leave my job and go find a new one. I can do part-time so I can finish school. My boss is okay with me leaving, but the problem is that he won't be able to support me anymore if I do, which means I will lose everything I own, and now I don't really know where to turn. This sounds messy as hell, but I definitely need more information. I started here when I was 16. A guy I knew got a big suite in the hotel, which is one of the nicest ones in Dallas. We had a party here. We were drinking and it got out of control and people threw up in the room and caused a lot of damage around the hotel and stole a bunch of things. The next morning, I woke up to manager and security yelling at me. My friends were all gone but left me sleeping. Your friends disappearing and leaving you behind? That makes me so mad already. That's such coward behavior. You guys were 16. Of course things got out of hand. But the fact that you were the only one who left behind to deal with it, that's very unfair. The manager took me to his office and I was crying and begging him not to call the police. So he said I could start coming in after school and helping them clean rooms and do dishes in the kitchen to work off the money from all damage and he wouldn't call the police. I really don't think that's how things work. The manager should have called your parents and come up with a solution together, but I digress. After a few weeks, I told him I couldn't anymore because my parents wouldn't drive me since I wasn't bringing home any money to save. And they said he was taking advantage of me. But I just didn't want to tell them I was working to pay off the debt. And I didn't listen because I know they didn't know the full story. So he bought me a used bike to use and said he wanted me there every day until the damage was all paid plus the bike. I really don't like how this starts escalating. It's the everyday until I pay off part for me. That feels strict in a way that doesn't sound normal. Also, this wasn't something you done alone. Where are your so-called friends? They should be there and help so the debt can be cleared faster. Over the next couple of months, he got more and more demanding, and every time I asked how much more work I had to do, he always just said he'll tell me when I'm finished. And if I don't want to, he can just call the police. At this point, that would have been better. He should have let you know at the beginning how much damage you guys caused and tell you how much time that's gonna take. He changed my hours to 4 to 12 every night and it was affecting my school. He's a nice guy and didn't wanted my grades to suffer and I always had to bring him my report cards, but he said do not drop out. But when I turned 18, I stopped going to school and just slept in the day. So you wanna tell me you worked for this guy for 2 years and you still owed him? What kind of is that?
Brother,
When he found out, he said I had to be here pretty much all day if I'm not going to be in school, which I hate because I don't really have any time for friends or my girlfriend. Bestie, this is more than just red flags. He is taking advantage of you because he knows you're not gonna tell anyone. I wish he would have called the police. I wish he would have called your parents. This sounds like to me like you are his slave for over 2 years now, but your debt's never gonna be cleared. Then things got rocky with the rents and I said I wanted to leave and my boss is house sitting for a family that lives in India. It has been great, except a couple of months per year I have to move out because they are coming home. They don't know that I live there for the rest of the time. What the actual hell is going on here? Your boss is getting paid by this family to look after their home and then he rents it out without their knowledge to make more money? That is audacity on the maximum level. Your boss is a sneaky scumbag. I really hope one day he's gonna get what he deserves. It's not that bad because I have lived comfortably. He lets me take home food from the hotel that is left over from the very upscale restaurant. And the house I live in is really nice. And if there are books or other things in the gift shop that no one buys, sometimes he let me take those too. Honestly, for me it sounds like your boss treats you like a pet. Like, here's a nice bed, some leftover food and some books. Now sit, stay and don't question me. Still, I have told him several times that I want to be paid, but he always says I owe him and will not tell me how much the damage was or how much I have worked off. I know the statute of limitations is 3 years, and after that he can press charges against me. Bro, this is peak manipulative energy. Like, congratulations of being in a lifelong game of guess how much I supposedly owe with 0 receipts. So yesterday was 3 years exactly, and I told him that I know he can't have me arrested anymore and that I want to quit. He said that's okay, but he bought my bike, all the good looking clothes I have, and all the essentials I needed since I was 16. Now he's saying if I don't work for him anymore, I can't live in the house, and I have to give back all the things he bought for me to use during my job. I can't with this. It's literally slavery, but make it fancy. He gave you everything that you needed for 3 years. And now he says it's actually his and you have to return it. You got those things because he wasn't paying you, but you had to survive somehow. Not because he's such a kind man. This story has disgusted me. He has got me a lot of things, but I have seriously no money, so there's no way I can leave the job. When I need something, I just ask him, and if I'm doing well at work, he will buy it for me. So I don't even know where to start to rebuild my life after this place. Are there resources for cases like this? Is there a way to make him let me keep everything until I'm on my feet? Thank you, Reddit. In the US, you generally not required to return gifts or essentials that was bought for you when you were a minor, unless there is a signed contract that says otherwise. You can talk to a local legal aid service or a lawyer specializing in labor and exploitation cases. It's okay to start slow. If there is someone you can trust, like family or friends, lean on them for support. But you have to get out of this situation as soon as possible. Edit. Monday morning. Wow, I am so overwhelmed to look again this morning and see all the responses. I can't believe how much bigger a deal this is than I realized. I know from an outsider perspective how crazy this must look, but it was just so easy to fall into this thing and hard to get away from. I called 2 law offices today and both were closed, but I did the contact form, so hopefully they will call me back. I also tried the police, but they said it sounds like a civil issue and said I should contact a lawyer also. I told them what you guys said, that he was basically using me as a slave, but they said unless he was physically detaining me against my will, that is nothing they can help with. Thank you so much for the help. Calling the police was a huge first step. Their reaction is frustrating, but at least you did everything what you could do right now. It's okay to feel overwhelmed. Give yourself a moment. And don't overestimate that you recognized your situation and started to ask for help. Update. Thank you all so much for your advice this weekend. I'm literally in the middle of the craziest day of my life today. Looking back, I feel like my situation was way over the top. But it took hearing all of you guys say and calling it slavery, and then going and talking to these lawyers for it to really hit home what he was put me through over the past 3 years. I write more later, but just want to give a quick update because I'm so excited, can hardly focus. Yesterday, I googled the top employment law firms in Dallas and sent some emails. I got a call from a lawyer saying he wanted to meet with me first thing in the morning. Oh my god, that is huge. Like a real life turning point huge. I am so freaking proud of you. My mind was racing all night and I didn't get to sleep until after 3 a.m. and I needed to leave by 7. I printed out about 50 pages of emails I have with him over the past 3 years. I never delete anything, and also made notes from some of his voicemails. After about 5 minutes talking to me this morning, he asked if it would be okay for some of the other lawyers he works with to join us. And I spent about 2 hours answering their questions and taking them through everything. The moment this all sank in for me of how big a deal this is was when I saw one of the lawyers tear up a couple times when I was talking. Honestly, it never felt like such a big deal to me before, but now I am seeing it from a whole new light. I mean, yeah, you literally fell into this when you were a teenager and became your whole world. Of course, your brain normalized it. It was all you knew for years. In the end, they said they will 100% take my case and I won't have to pay them anything upfront. And they just need a few days to do some research before we meet again and talk about the details, which is going to happen on Friday. Like a bunch of you said, they told me it's a lot more than just a pay issue and that there are a lot of parts they need to explore about lost wages and also criminal charges that he will 100% face, but that they need to talk about the strategy first. They also said since I'm over 18 now that my parents don't need to know anything or be involved in any way. I love the criminal angle. The fact that he will face consequences is my favorite part so far. When we were finishing, the main lawyer I was talking to asked what I was doing the rest of the day. I told him I thought I was going to play it cool until we actually sue him, and I would go to work after this. I called in sick this morning and said I would be in after lunch. He said, "Will you excuse us for just a minute?" And they went in another office to talk for a few minutes. When they came back out, they asked me if I want to stop working at this job and get out from under this guy. I said yes, so he said to go home and pack my things and they are going to make arrangements for me this afternoon. He said I am never going to work there again and should not answer any calls or messages from them ever again. So I've been home now for a few hours packing and then I got this email from their office. XX, it was a pleasure meeting you this morning. XX asked me to get in touch to share details of the accommodation we would like to provide, as well as some logistical information in advance on your Friday meeting. We've made a 30-day reservation for you at XX, which is closer to our offices and XX. I've attached a copy of your reservation confirmation. Please note that it has been paid in full. XX from our office will be in touch around 4 this afternoon to check in on how things are going and coordinate with you on getting your things out of the house and into the hotel. She will also provide you with some spending money for any immediate essentials and get you set up with an UberX account to make transportation to our offices a little easier next time. Although we hope to represent you in these matters, we are providing these accommodations at no cost and with no obligation on your part. This is intended to help bring a more immediate stability to your living situation so you can focus on next steps in your life. Thank you again for getting in touch with us. We look forward to seeing you again soon. Warm regards, XX. Holy freaking shit. This is literally everything. The lawyers didn't just say we take your case. They said we got your back and we are setting you up to actually escape this nightmare safely. Honestly, this is the type of update that wants to make me scream and cry happy tears at the same time. I'm assuming if they are willing to do all this for me and spend all this money, they think they are going to make a lot of money from this, which probably I am also going to come out well. I really hope so. So I'm beyond thrilled with how this is turning out so far and 100% want to work with them. I still have a ton to pack and just wasted an hour on the internet, but I'm going to get back to it now. Thank you all so much for pointing me in the right direction. Yes, the fact they are investing so much means they are serious and confident in you. And I think you are going to come out from this way better than you ever imagined. Update. I posted here a couple of years ago when I was stuck working for someone who threatened me to have me arrested over some room damage my friends caused. Sorry, I can't find the post, but some of you may remember. A lot has changed since then, and the advice I got from all of you has been such a big part of it. I have thought about this frequently and wanted to come back and write something to update you. I'm so excited that we have an update years later. The firm I hired was the best thing I could ever have hoped for. They got me out from under his thumb immediately and helped me get back on my own feet without having to be under my boss or my parents or anyone else. During the days after that, I basically lived in their offices for a few months. When this started, since we were going through 1,000 emails and voice messages talking about the context behind them all and trying to make a long timeline of events and tell them everything that ever happened with him. It was so emotionally draining, but their team was very supportive and helped me get get through the hard times. When it was all laid out in front of me, the guilt over what I did to my life really took hold. How could I be so stupid? It's so obvious what he was doing, etc. Simple math said that none of this made any sense, but I just didn't see it. I think part of it was because of my parents and not wanting to listen to them. So much that I decided that they had to be wrong when they tried to get me to stop. Honestly, don't beat yourself up. Of course you didn't see it back then. You were a teenager. You were in a situation that was designed to control you and keep you stuck. I'm really glad you found this law firm and they helped you so much. My lawyer started talking to my boss and his lawyer and the hotel chain's executives, and also to the police, and they said there were also some issues that made it possibly a federal crime. None of that registered with me how serious it was, but once that happened and I thought things were going to be okay, he came to the hotel I was staying in. Yes, he actually followed me from my lawyer's office one day, and that's how he found out where I was staying, and came to the door yelling at me about how he gave me everything and did everything for me, and that this is going to ruin him and his family, and showing me pictures of his kids who he said would starve without him to put food on the table, telling me I blew this all out of proportion and that my lawyers were going to bankrupt his family and put him in prison for life. Bro, that's insane. That's not just desperate, that's scary and controlling as the whole, look at my kids, you ruining us routine. That's a classic guilt trip tactic. Like, wow, it's suddenly your fault that he's facing consequences for the actions he committed. This guy is next level toxic. They never said anything to me about that. And I didn't want his family to suffer so much, but he was also being really mean. He had never yelled at me like this before, and even though he never hurt me in the past, this time I actually was scared. I texted my lawyer to see what I should do, and they came immediately with the police and they arrested him immediately and got me a restraining order. I am a huge fan of your legal team. A few days later, my mom and lawyer came over while I was taking a nap and woke me up and told me he himself. I have never felt as bad as I did at that moment. It's a feeling I wouldn't wish on anyone. Just a sick feeling in my stomach, and my whole body felt numb, and I felt like it was a bad dream and I could wake up from, except I couldn't. Jesus Christ, I really didn't expect that to happen, but I guess deep down he knew he was guilty. I had a mental breakdown and spent 2 months in the hospital thinking about all the things he said to me about his family and about me overblowing this, and it made me question everything again. You did nothing wrong. You had to get away from this guy. It is not your responsibility what he did to himself. You went through hell because of him, and I'm so sorry he's still reaching you beyond the grave. My lawyer said they would handle as much of this as they can without me and just come to me when they had something important that needed my input for. My parents also came back in the picture and were very supportive and were helping more than I ever expected. I asked my mom to bring a printout of all the comments from my first post, and that helped me a lot. I read over them every day just to remind myself that what he did was not okay and that I was right to get help. The most apologetic person was someone from the hotel chain. They said it was a private-owned and managed hotel, so my boss didn't even work for them, but they still wanted to make sure I was okay. In the first comments, you guys were saying I should be owed at least $30,000. Well, the hotel chain itself paid me more than that just for agreeing that they were not responsible for what he did. Lawyers said it was a generous offer they didn't even have to make, and that the person I talked to genuinely felt sick over my situation and wanted to do the right thing. So they told me I should take it, and there was a lot more coming from the franchise, which actually owns dozens of hotels, but not all from this chain. The franchise was very defensive at first, but the big turning point was when they realized that one of the managers who was over the hotels in Dallas was actually a guy I saw all the time and who my boss had told the story of me working there, and we talked about it once, and he told me he hoped I worked it off soon and wished me good luck. But he knew I was there for years, and he was also the one who approved our budgets, so he knew they were not paying me. My lawyers were very smart to find this out, and when they did, the franchise wanted to settle. That is disgusting. So there was this other guy who knew what was going on and he did nothing. Major props for the lawyers figuring this out. And of course, the franchise wants to settle after all this coming out. Classic. It was a big settlement. My lawyers got a third. They said it's one of the biggest any of them has ever seen for this kind of case, but they said it was fully warranted. I have enough to live on for a very long time and can also finish my education in hotel management and will have enough left over to start a hotel after if I still want to do that. It has been a blessing, but I also didn't realize how incredibly hard it is. I never told anyone about the settlement, but people found out. Everyone comes out of the woodwork and suddenly wants to be my friend again. So the hardest thing is by far trying to figure out who I want to be friends with and who I don't. Little awkward things like you go out dinner with a small group and people look at you like they expect you to pay for everyone just because you got a big payout. Guess who even had the balls to call me? The friends I was with all those years ago who left me in the damn room. And my girlfriend who I tried to protect from her parents and didn't reveal their names so her Bible thumper parents wouldn't find out she was bi. It hurt a lot to hear from them after all these years. Very upsetting. Pretty much the only people I really trust now are the people who stuck with me before. But I do have a financial manager now who makes sure I'm being smart with my money and tells me how much I should use for different things I want to do. That was the bare minimum that you got a big payout. And yeah, everybody wants to be your friend when they smell money is a classic move. But you have a good head on your shoulders. Knowing to only keep the people who were there for you the whole time is smart. Focus on yourself and your future. Everything's gonna be okay. So that's my story, and now I'm going to school part-time and also doing a lot of outdoor sports and also got into cooking. Little things like having time for hobbies and fun are a big change for me, and I still feel like it's some new life I'm getting used to. I feel like I lived 4 lives already in these different little phases, but so far this one is my favorite. I love that for you. You deserve to have all the free time and to be happy finally. I still have nightmares sometimes about my old boss and just remembering him yelling at me that day at my hotel. And then me hearing that he died. I remember all the times he was nice to me and gave me things and did things for me and gave me dating advice and told me I was smart, pretty, etc. Sometimes I wonder, even as happy as I am now, if it was worthwhile to know that he's gone and his family is suffering and has nothing. My therapist says sometimes the right thing can be hard and hurts, and sometimes bad things happen to good people who don't deserve it, but that I did everything right, so that helps me feel a lot better. One day at a time. This whole story was just insane. Like how you survived that and how you are out now building your life. Seriously, I'm in awe. I'm so happy you are on therapy as well. And your therapist is really right. You did nothing wrong. It's amazing this is behind you now. And I hope you are going to be very, very happy in the future. You really deserve that. I hope you guys enjoyed today's story. If you did, please subscribe, leave your thoughts in the comments. I reply them all, and see you in the next one.